Miss Campos. We are very excited to be back on camp. So today I'm going to give you an update on my pollinator garden that's here, the entomology class by the pond, and give you some tips on if you are trying to start your own pollinator garden and what you should plant. So come on. So this is how the garden is doing. We do have a few blooms. It's looking really good. It's very green and lush and very thick, which is what you want to see in your pollinator gardens. Gives lots of critters a place to hide. The flowers give them things to eat. So we are really glad with how this is turning out and how it's growing. If we take a closer look, we can see some of the different plants that are in these 3 barrels we've created our garden in. So the first one we're going to take a look at is our Lantana. Now Lantana is a very beautiful plant. It loves the sunshine and it does really well even in our crazy hot Texas summers. So Lantana is a very good plant to have in your pollinator gardens. These little flowers are clustered together, so it gives lots of nectar to hungry bees and butterflies that are flying around. They really love these bright colors that the Lantana has as well. So that is one plant to consider putting into your pollinator garden, or any garden. Next one we have is our milkweed plants. Some of you may know milkweed for being the host plant for our monarch butterflies. This is the only plant that our monarchs will lay their eggs on and the caterpillars will eat. So we like to plant these. Most people don't know that our monarchs are actually the Texas state butterfly, so we really want to protect them here in Texas. So planting this milkweed is always very good in your garden. The caterpillars will munch on the leaves, that's their food source, and then when the flowers bloom, the butterflies love the nectar from those flowers right there. Something else you can think about planting is some kind of salvia. Salvia and sage are very good in, again, direct sunlight in these Texas summers, and they have these beautiful flowers. So you can definitely consider planting these. Pollinators are always going to love when your plants have a lot of flowers clustered together, because then they don't have to move far to find their next meal. So always think about that when you're thinking of good flowers to have for your pollinators. Some other plants that you can have, they don't all have to have flowers on them. You could pick some herbs for your pollinators as well, because their caterpillars from our butterflies love to munch on this stuff, and for our other insects it gives them a place to hide from predators, gives them some shade from the sun. When it gets really bushy like this, they like to hide out in it, and our caterpillars love to munch on it too. So right here we have some curled parsley, and right here we have some oregano. It also smells really good. So you could do this. You could also plant like dill plants. They really like dill as well. Anything that's going to be leafy and green are really good for our pollinators as well. So over here we have another type of salvia, and then we have a white lantana, which is a really pretty when it starts to bloom. But again, you want to have these little clusters. They really bring in the bees and the butterflies. This little guy, while not an insect or a pollinator, is still very good to see in our pollinator gardens. He's just a little spider. He's made his web right in between the stalks of the lantana. So he's still really beneficial to our gardens because he's eating all those pest insects that we don't want. Most of our pollinators are going to be too big for him to eat, so he's still really good to have in our garden. So we want to be very careful with the insects that we have in our gardens and making sure that we take care of all of our creatures and not just the ones that we think are pretty. those are just a few plants you could consider planting in your own pollinator gardens. And until next time, we'll be praying for you.